Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is one of the most celebrated and discussed films of all time. Stephen King's disdain for Kubrick's adaptation of his novel eventually led him in 1997 to produce a miniseries adaptation meant to be more faithful to the book. So why does one of these adaptations work while the other falls flat? And why is the less faithful version the more successful? Academic George Bluestone wrote, "We discover in film versions of the novel, the filmmaker merely treats the novel as raw material and ultimately creates their own unique structure." Now, this is exactly what Stanley Kubrick and his co-writer Diane Johnson did while making The Shining. Author Catriona McAvoy describes this as a process of deconstruction and reconstruction. This creates a much more complex, ambiguous viewing experience. Many criticize the film upon release for playing pretty fast and loose with the source material. However, it is their molding of the story into a version better suited for the silver screen that has made The Shining the horror classic that it is today. I was sorely disappointed to find, however, that the miniseries is far less enjoyable than the film or the novel, failing to preserve any of the best qualities of either. If the film is a masterclass in complex, ambiguous subtext, the miniseries is the exact opposite. It insists on spoon-feeding each and every piece of information to the audience in a manner that feels downright condescending. Half of the time, the characters do the work for you and just say what they're thinking out loud. King once said, "The movies, adapted from my writing, have never been a big deal to me. I see them as a lesser medium than literature." Now, to me, it tracks that someone who views film as a lesser medium would fail to utilize it to its full potential. He makes the leap from page to screen very, very awkwardly, unsure of how to effectively translate his more descriptive passages into visual language, instead relying heavily on dialogue, which ends up feeling overly explanatory. And while King may be a master of words, he lacks on the screenwriting front for his inability to know when words won't cut it.